Hey, welcome back. This is our second week of the Fantasy Staple here,
And you thought you were never going to see these guys again.
but we're back.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, let's just do a little recap of last week. We had some pretty good picks, Chad.
For our first week, Dan, we hit a home run, man. Chris Johnson, Fantasy Tracker, got the guy back on track. The guy had 36 fantasy points, 26 in the first quarter alone, which is almost his whole output from 6 weeks before in one quarter.
That's kind of ridiculous. What do you have, the 83-yard run?
He had a monster game. I was busy getting drunk watching the Browns and battling my DirecTV signal, but I did catch a glimpse of that. It was a nice run.
Yeah, he finished with 195 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not too shabby, seeing how he's ran for 195 yards in the first 6 games.
Which continues the whole Chris Johnson Russian roulette fantasy game for all you fantasy owners this year. Have fun. I know I have.
Yeah, and then we go to Randall Cobb. I chose him last week. I told you to play him. 2 touchdowns last week.
Monster game. He seems to be. I've been saying it for years, Dan. Well, the last year I said for sure that he was definitely going to become one of Aaron Rodgers' young targets. With Jennings on 100%, I think Randall Cobb will probably show up again this week.
And I like him this week too. So if you had a chance to grab him, you didn't start him this week because it's only going to get better.
Also, Josh Gordon had a big touchdown, 59 yards last week. He got you about 12 points, I think 11, 12 in most formats. But again, 4 touchdowns last 3 weeks. We called it here first that he was going to have another touchdown. Daenerys Moore also had a touchdown. I called that.
You did?
That's one of my guys.
Another double-digit game.
Vic Ballard, 10 points, which is that's all I go off of with my just 10 points. Good game.
Yep. And then there's that guy. We told you to sit last week. I hope you listened.
I told you, Dan. All Cam Newton does is throws Thurman Munson's.
Thurman Munson?
Dead Yanks.
Oh, man. Yeah, Cam Newton. Told you not to start him. That was as ugly as we thought.
I probably won't start him again this week. Christian Ponder is going to start for me in that league.
Fair enough. What are we going to first here, Chad?
We're going to jump into starters. First off, this week I got Josh Freeman. The guy's had the last 2 weeks, Dan, averaging 374 yards and 3 touchdowns a game. Going to his 21st ranked defense in Minnesota. I expect big things again. Vincent Jackson, he had a big game last week too. The young guys are getting open. He's got good targets. Dallas Clark even had a touchdown last week. The guys are showing up. They need the old ice creamsicle jerseys. I think that might help them too. But I'd start Josh Freeman again this week.
All right. Along with that, Andrew Luck this week against Tennessee, facing the 27th ranked Tennessee defense against the pass. He's had a few 300-yard games this year. Look for him to do it again this week against that defense.
And also another Indy guy to not get off track, Vic Ballard. He didn't hit that pay dirt last week, but I'm guaranteeing you this week, fantasy owners, pay dirt. Boom.
3 weeks.
3 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah, 3 weeks in a row for Chad here, repping the Vic Ballard.
But yeah, I did get a win last week, so no more 1-5 talk.
2-5 there. However, I stretched my lead there. I'm 6-1, sole possession of first place for this trophy here. But
all right, anyways, Vic Ballard, though, against Tennessee, he's going to get the red zone looks again. Last week seemed like Delone Carter was spotting him a little bit more than I expected, so, tread easy, I guess, but this week I'm at least guaranteeing he gets a touchdown finally, because if I've started a guy 3 weeks in a row, if I'm trying to bench him and probably was thinking about benching him, he's probably going to have a big game, so start him. He's probably going to do good.
All right, I got Jeremy Curley here. Last week, 7 receptions, 120 yards. No, he didn't get the touchdown, but against the 28th ranked pass defense of Miami this week, you can expect that TD. Maybe 2, you don't know. We'll see, though. I would play him.
Sanchez does seem to like the young guy. I don't remember exactly where Curley came from, but with Santana Moss out, Sanchez always has that go-to guy on third down, and this year seems to be Jeremy Curley. He's fast, man.
Antonio Holmes.
Yeah. We don't talk about Pittsburgh guys. Yeah. The last one we're going to go through, kind of a surprise, only started in 29% of leagues last week. Peyton Manning. It's kind of a no-brainer this week going against the worst pass defense in the league in New Orleans, but apparently you people out there don't believe in Peyton anymore. You sat him on the bench. Shame on you.
I don't understand it. 29% of the leagues last week.
He's going to have a big game this week.
He's got to. There was. Chad calls me the monster. I got Antonio Brown this week. Yes, I'm a Steelers fan. He hasn't showed up this year for the most part. We're looking for that wow game. This week he can do it. Washington Redskins. They've given up 1,663 passing yards just to receivers. 10 touchdowns on 110 catches. You can look for him or Mike Wallace to have a huge game this week.
I think they're going to come and show up this week. Antonio Brown, yeah, he's due, man. He's due. Unless Emmanuel Sanders keeps getting looks. I don't know what you Pittsburgh people think you got. Well, Mike Wallace can't catch shit, so I don't know what you're going to do.
Drops per game? I mean, if we're playing those leagues, we're winning.
Oh, Greg Little is going to all right. Anyways, also another one, I've been saying it for a while. Daenerys Moore, he had a touchdown last week. I expect the same again this week at Kansas City. They really, what are you going to say? Brady Quinn's starting for him. So you know the Oakland's going to have the ball, 50 minutes that game? It's not even,
What?
I'm calling it right here. Time of possession of that game is going to be abysmal. It's going to be like a Kent State-Ohio State game.
Did you say 50 minutes?
Close to 50 minutes. Daenerys Moore will get a touchdown. Maybe not 50 minutes. It's going to be bad. What are they going to do? Hand off to Sean Jerome, Brady Quinn? All right, they got Jamal Charles, but I just don't see it. That takes us to the sleeper picks. This is what I feel strong about this week. My first guy, owned in less than 1% of all leagues, everybody, Chris Givens. If you don't know the name, get to know him. Made history last week. The first wide receiver in 30 years since Willie Gault in 1983 to catch a over 50-yard reception in 4 straight weeks. What more do you got to say to pick the guy up? He's a sleeper, deep, deep sleeper. Probably going to get a touchdown this week, but he's a long home run threat. You know, I'm picking him up. I'm giving him a chance. I don't care. They're going against New England this week, so
might as well. Especially in our league. You need those wins, Chad. All right. My first sleeper. I only got 2 for you this week. Santana Moss. 25% of the leagues got him this week. 2 TDs last week. This week he's playing against the Steelers. Everybody knows that they're suspect against the pass, hit and miss. A lot of injuries on that defense. You can look for Santana Moss to get another long touchdown and possibly a 100-yard game, but we'll see.
I mean, what else? Pierre Garçon, is he back yet? That's the big thing there is they have Josh Moore. Santana Moss is just over the middle, under the middle guy. You don't expect him to do much, but he always shows up. I mean, he's from the U. It's all about the U again. All right.
Maurice Claret.
My next guy is Brandon Weeden. The Ginger. Anyways, compare him to guys that are on 100% of all leagues. Cam Newton, the Thurman Munson, and Joe Flacco, each of which, over the last 3 weeks, have averaged less than 200 yards a game passing, Joe Flacco's averaged less than 1 touchdown the last 3 weeks. Brandon Weeden, on the other hand, over 260 yards and averaging 2 touchdowns a game. Going against San Diego this week, they might fall behind early. Ryan Matthews will probably see holes on them. They'll probably score. So therefore, I'm expecting Weeden. I'm calling it right now. I'm going out on a limb. You got to go out on a limb to taste that fruit. Wise man told me that. Brandon Weeden, 300 yards this week, guaranteed. Ooh. At least 20 fantasy points. You heard it here first.
The fantasy staple.
Quote me. Put a fucking staple in it. I mean, just put a staple in it.
Jeez. All right. Wow. Okay.
That was inappropriate.
Andre Roberts. Owned in 35% of leagues. He's had 200. Wow. Not 200. 2 100-yard games. I don't know. They'll probably get behind early against San Francisco. You can look for him to get those looks, throwing the ball every down there. Look for him to get another 100-yard game. And I'm saying he's going to get a touchdown this week. And you can put a staple in that one.
I'm always high on the number 2 guys in Arizona just because Larry Fitzgerald demands coverage. I've been saying Michael Floyd this whole year. My buddy Schwartz, I know you're watching, man. Tell everybody about Michael Floyd. I don't know why he hasn't emerged yet this year, but Andre Roberts is that number 2 guy. He's probably going to get looks. This is the week. My man's calling it, so go out on a limb, try it.
TDs.
All he needs is 1 touchdown. That's the point you need. And the
next?
last guy, I mean, roll the dice on him. If you're short on running backs, Rashad Jennings, for whatever reason, is probably going to be owned in 65% of all leagues before this. There's never gonna. Do people even know where he went to college? Do you know?
Nope.
Liberty. Look it up.
What?
Anyways, Rashad Jennings, not the best guy, but there's another guy out there, folks. Montario Hardesty. Trent Richardson's already inactive for this week, and actually next week I believe he's going to be inactive. So Montario Hardesty is going to get the reps. He's going to get the red zone carries. I don't expect Obanai to spot much, and Brandon Jackson has been a ghost this year for whatever reason, been in Sherber's doghouse. So, yeah, Hardesty's going to get 20 touches a game, guarantee it. So, I mean, it's the roll of the dice, and the worst you're going to do is at least 5 points. So, if you're hurting for a running back, hurting for a squirt, and Hardesty's your boy.
Yikes. All right, next we got the sit-ems for this week. Might have a flashback here, but Cam Newton, we're going to sit him again. He's playing the Bears, number 1 defense in the league. He played awful last week, and coming up against a premier defense like this, it's not going to be a good game.
And that ties in with DeAngelo Williams. The guy, the last 2 weeks, combined -2 fantasy points.
That's disgusting.
He's negative. You might as well start a guy on a bye week over DeAngelo Williams. You're going to get better production out of it. There's nothing there. I would sit the whole Carolina team. Even if you're playing defensive players, sit them. Don't even risk it. Just sit them.
Get rid of them. That's
There's no production there, and this game is going to be bad. That's my opinion.
I'm going to agree there.
It's going to be like watching the '99 Browns again.
What?
All right.
You turned yourself under the bus there.
No, but we lived it, man. We lived it. It was Ty Detmer and Tim Couch,
right,
Kevin Johnson.
My next sit-em, we're going to go with Doug Martin here. Going against Minnesota's third-ranked rush defense. I'm not impressed with the guy. I know he's gotten you some points here and there, but there's really no consistency here. I mean, he'll get you 10, 6, 3, 10. But against the number 3 ranked defense, don't expect him to get any more than 5.
Blindfold and throw a dart at the dartboard. That's Doug Martin. My guy, Stephen Ridley. A lot of you guys are high on him. He's going against number 12 ranked defense this week. St. Louis, Chris Long, they got a strong line. Danny Woodhead's been emerging lately. I'm not risking it. I'm saying the guy sees maybe, the 10 touches he gets, but I'm not expecting production this week. And I'm not risking it. So, and the last guy is Alex Smith. If you've watched football the last 3 weeks, you don't need to hear much of this. 4 picks, 1 touchdown.
Last 3 games.
Or and I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it.
Well,
that takes us to the
Stone Cold Staples. Right here, we're going to put a staple in some games here. 2 games each. We'll go with our picks right now. I'm going to take San Diego, giving Cleveland a point. I don't know where to go with my hands either. But giving Cleveland 1 point, that's all. Definitely going to take San Diego. No offense there. But it's not going to be that close of a game. Dallas, they're actually getting a point from the Giants, so I'm going to take Dallas on that.
That'll be a good game. To watch. Is that a 4 o'clock game?
4:25.
I'll be watching that.
Yeah. And your 2 picks, Chad?
Well, I should have gone 2-0 last week, but as we all saw, Cleveland forgot how to kick PATs. Anyways, this week I'm taking New Orleans +6 on the road. I do expect Peyton Manning to have a big game, but I mean, there you go. You got me saying. 6 points just seems like a lot of points to me. I used to wager on football games. 6 points. This is going to be a 3-point game all the way. So I'm like 38-35, 41-38.
That's a high-scoring game, Chad.
You got 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time going head-to-head. That's when you want to TiVo. You definitely want to DVR your stuff, record that game. My other one is Oakland +1. It'll probably be a pick'em game at Kansas City. Brady Quinn starting. Like I said, maybe 50 minutes of possession time in that game. It's going to be brutal. I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't be surprised if Oakland just blows them out of the water there.
I could see it.
Darren McFadden's got to show up sooner or later. Where's he been this year, man?
Maybe we should start the
Darren McFadden. I picked Run DMC to lead the league in rushing this year.
All right. Well,
the all-time best segment ever on any show, the Chris Johnson Fantasy Tracker.
Last week, dude blew up. 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, 36 fantasy points. Against Indy this week, It could happen again.
It's not gonna happen.
No.
Again. All right, Dan. What are you saying? Go ahead. Let's hear it. It's gonna be stupid. I know it.
It's not stupid. Well, I predicted 13 points. I predicted the Chris Johnson touchdown. Yes, he had 2, but nobody saw that coming. I'm going to go with a 100-yard game. 100-yard game, 1 touchdown. I'm going to go 17 points with Chris Johnson this week. Which brings me to the guy who drafted Chris
He's
Johnson.
not doing it. He totaled his whole... He had 36 points last week. He had 36 points in weeks 1 through 6 combined this whole year. It's not happening again. I'm going 7. 7. You ever watch the movie Black Sheep? You know how fast you were going? 7. 7 miles an hour. Chris Johnson, 7 points. Darius Raynaud was actually one of the trending guys to pick up in fantasy before last week because of how bad Chris Johnson was doing. So that...
We'll see what happens this week. In case you didn't know, this year in our draft, I took Greg Zuerlein.
Oh, jeez.
That's a good pick.
Like 1 out of every 3 million people drafted Greg Zuerlein, and this dude was so drunk that he did. That's what happened.
It's research, guys.
It's not research. You were drunk. You drafted Peyton Hillis that day, too.
I did not draft him.
He did. He drafted Peyton Hillis. I got proof.
Auto pick. I was drunk, and I forgot to click.
You forgot to do something, man. Put the condoms on that keyboard, and that's what you need to do.
I drafted Greg.
Anyways, this has been the Fantasy Staple this week. We appreciate the support. Keep tuning in.
You hear it here first. I mean, touchdowns, we predict them. You're going to get your points if you listen.
And hit us up on Twitter if you got any problems with your lineups. We're actually both on there, so unlike those big lame-o guys that are like, hit me up with your fantasy questions that never answer you back, we're going to hit you back within a minute or two.
Dan Chad on the Mac, the Fantasy Staple. Check us out on Facebook too, the Fantasy Staple. We even got an Instagram. Hit us up.
Hit us up.
This is the Fantasy Staple.
Put a staple in it.
Boom.
We're out.